Saints Row 2 was published by THQ back in 2008, and this was the introductory game of the Saints Row series for the PlayStation 3. I finally played it on PlayStation 3 in the past couple nights. So, I'll get the best aspect of Saints Row 2 out of the way. That way you understand that I did enjoy this game to a certain level. So, the best part about Saints Row 2, for one, it's the best Saints Row game. For two, in-game wise, the audio is perfect. For a 2008 game, we're talking the audio, it sounds like a Dolby Atmos game when it comes to audio. Okay, you hear everything. You hear bullets hitting the ground, you hear your guy getting shot at, you hear people dying, you hear cars revving their engines, you hear cars get blown up, you hear everything. Absolutely everything. Engine problems, you can hear it in the game. It's not to say that your car will get messed up before it blows up, like mechanically. I mean, whenever you're driving a car and it gets damaged, it just gets to the point where it smokes and then burns up, and then you have to jump out and it blows up. But otherwise, the audio is killer. It is a fantastic audio. And to top it off, this game also has an excellent diverse soundtrack too. It doesn't just have gangster rap. It has gangster rap all the way to screamo heavy metal. And I don't know how anybody could straight up hate this game. Now, objectively, there are quite a bit of things, a lot of things that I actually strongly dislike about Saints Row 2. But the best parts of this are the audio. There are some great graphics in this 2008 gen, okay? Mainly being when you're playing the game, the graphics look outstanding. Not as much for the environment, but the character models, definitely the car detail, all of those on the innards of the game, the main parts, look great. The story itself is good, is a solid, well-told story. I don't have many complaints except the secondary villains, the ones that you kill, the ones that are made up to be like the main ones, but you end up ultimately killing them and then going after the main ones. So the secondary main villains, I think that they're too stereotyped. If they had switched each of their personalities and given, like the Brotherhood villain, if they had given his personality to the Ronin main boss and vice versa, I think that would have been a lot better story-wise. Because otherwise, we just have stereotype Koreans, stereotype musclehead, stereotype Hawaiians or Jamaicans, that's what they are, the Sons of Somdi. We have a game where some of the main villains are Jamaican, and that's amazing. You never really hear that. But then they turn into the stereotype hippie stoners. And not so much the main boss. He was professional and uptight and whatnot, but the problem is we found out all of the other characters' personalities from the secondary villains down. But we never really know much about the main villains that we end up ultimately killing off at the end of every gang war. Also, as far as the storytelling goes, so how I played the game was you have to build up your respect in order to proceed with the main story. So to build up your respect, you are mandated to play some of the side activities. So I did them all in one night. That way I could just keep going into the main story, not have to redo. Rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. So yeah, the main villains by the end of the story, the Ultor, I like them, but they're also cliche stereotype villains. Nevertheless, they're just stereotype bad rich cops. Another problem pertaining to the graphics, not just the bland environments, but also the cutscene graphics. they are average to being downright ugly at times. Not just with screen tearing, but I mean like, you know how in even new release games now, like if you look at a car, its door when it's open, you can kind of see like the static on the detail on the outline of it. Well, picture that in Saints Row 2 and basically zoom in, and it's basically the entire video of the cutscene. And that's not just one time. I would say at the very least that's every other cutscene. Now, one thing I can say that looks excellent, other than the cars and the character models, the mission success screens, they look downright amazing and gorgeous. Yeah, it's just a brick wall with the logo and some words, but you know what? It's very well defined. Okay, if you look at it, you're just like, wow, this is HD. Another problem I have with Saints Row 2 is it has a difficulty setting, which I love that. I love when they implement that in games. That right there is at least a point for me. What I don't like is when they give you difficulty settings, but even if you do the easiest difficulty, in the end game, the last couple missions, they ramp up the difficulty so that you can't beat it. And don't get me wrong, I did beat it. It took me 12 to 13 hours straight through, including the 3-4 hours that I spent with the side activities raising my reputation, or respect, that's what it is. But otherwise though, I mean, that the end game difficulty was a killer. If I wanted to continuously die over and over and over again, I would literally play it on the hardest difficulty. I don't want that in the easiest. Okay? Now don't get me wrong, I did play this on both, but that's why I'm comparing and saying and contrasting. You can't have it both ways. You can't be on easy difficulty and then die instantly in the last two missions. Now on the hardest, it's expected. That's why they give you a difficulty setting. You know what I mean? Like it does not add up to me in the gaming world. Why would you give a difficulty setting and then make it unplayable even on the easiest? It just does not make sense. So otherwise, Saints Row 2 for me is a 7 out of 10. Thank you.